Welcome to the Family Engagement Webinar Series, Literacy and Family Engagement. My name is Jeanette Mejias, and I'm the co-director of the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub, and I am thrilled to be here with you today. Today, we're going to explore strategies to partner with parents and families to help children develop strong language and literacy skills. We know that family engagement is crucial in fostering a love for reading and learning in children. And we here at the Hub are excited to share insights and practical tips that you can implement in your communities. Throughout the session, we will discuss effective communication techniques to engage families, interactive activities that promote literacy at home, resources and tools to support family involvement in children's education. The Hub is equally as excited to welcome Dr. Jamie Zabolski as our literacy consultant and guest speaker in today's webinar. Dr. Zabolski, she's a professor at Fairleigh Dickinson University and a school psychologist by training, and the author of Book Smart, How to Develop and Support Motivated Readers. Jamie's work with families is motivated by her belief that teaching parents to serve as their children's teachers and therapists is tremendously powerful. So we're really excited to hear from her today. And before you meet the rest of the Hub team, I encourage you to please interact in the chat, introduce yourselves. If you're a parent, if you're a professional, we want you to let us know what is your favorite book read. And feel free to share your thoughts. And also, we love animation, so if there's something speaking to your heart, please react, give us a heart or a like on the content that you are hearing today. Once again, welcome and thank you for being here. And now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Dr. Lanisha Makel Ridley.
Good morning, everyone. As Jeanette said, my name is Dr. Lanisha Makel Ridley, and I am the other co-director for the Hub. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a mom of a son named Brandon. He happens to be 5 and just started kindergarten. And one of my favorite things to do is read. So if you ever meet me in person, you will always see me with a book or reading a book on my phone. So that is my absolute favorite thing to do and has been since I was a young girl. My favorite genre of reading, you won't believe this, is romance novels. So always loved them, still love them to this day. They're my one guilty pleasure. And I am so happy to have you here with us this morning. And now I'll turn it over to Kim.
Good morning. My name is Tiffany Molina, and I am the Central Regional Family Engagement Specialist. I am a mother of 5 and a former educator. And now I'll turn it over to Tara.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I am Tara Semanek, the Southern Regional Family Engagement Specialist for the Family Engagement Hub in New Jersey. I have 3 school-age children, Connor, Sophia, and Gary. My son Connor and I have a favorite literacy activity. We love reading Pete the Cat while we listen and watch YouTube videos of people reading and animating the stories. I'm so glad to be sharing this time with you all. Thank you for coming and joining us. I'm going to turn to Faith.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Faith Victor. I am the Northern Regional Family Engagement Specialist. And growing up, reading was and is fundamental in my home. I come from a Haitian household, so reading was part of our summers. If we wanted to watch a movie or TV, we had to read first. So growing up, I like to read comic books. And now that I'm older, I read more personal growth, personal development, self-improvement books to this day. And I'll pass it over to Alexis. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. Hi, everybody. My name is Alexis Pratt. I'm the Community Engagement Specialist for the New Jersey Family Engagement Hub. Two genres of books that I love to read are fantasy books like Harry Potter and manga like fairy tale.
Okay, so now we're going to talk a little bit about SPAN. SPAN is one of the nationwide parent centers for New Jersey. So those of you who have worked with SPAN or come in and gotten help from us, you know SPAN is about families. We provide information, we provide technical assistance, resources. We provide tons of different webinar offerings to inform and to train. The mission of SPAN is to empower and support families and inform and involve anyone, be it professionals, educators, who are interested in the healthy development and education of children and youth. We have about 45 programs that cover everything from education, health, mental health, human services, childcare, child welfare. We extend to over 40 national and regional programs, and we are funded by government agencies, foundations, and fee-for-service contracts. So, of course, if you want more information about SPAN, you can hop on our website at www.spanadvocacy.org. And now I'm going to pass it on to Lanisha to talk about our hub.
The New Jersey Family Engagement Hub is funded with funding from the U.S. Department of Education. This is a grant that SPAN received we applied for almost 3 years ago, and we received last year. We are finishing year 1 of this grant. The grant is to become a centralized information hub for families, educators, students, and youth. So you will hear us talking about those 4 audiences throughout the webinar. We want to bring together educators, families, community-based organizations, and our youth, and create collaborations between those audiences and build bridges for the express purpose of increasing the likelihood of student success. We know if everyone comes together, we can have successful students, both inside and outside of the classroom. The way the hub does that is by providing tools and strategies to those audiences. And we do that through webinars like today. We have in-person workshops. We will be in the community and coming to a school district near you in just a few short weeks. And so we are here to be your resource for family engagement. But in addition, we are also bringing our youth to the table. We need to hear what they want, what they need in order for them to thrive. And so please look out for any additional webinars and workshops that we have by visiting our website, NJ Family Engagement Hub, and our YouTube page. And you will see some more information about how to engage with us at the end of this webinar. And now we'll turn it over to Jeanette.
Thank you, Lanisha. So to make our session more interactive, we want to gather your valuable insights. So we're going to launch a quick poll. How can we support literacy as families, educators, and communities? So we ask that you participate in the poll, and we're going to give you about 30 seconds.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. This This book right here makes everything okay. It's like the sun in the sky is shining down on me. Once you learn to read, baby, you will be forever free. Clap along if you feel like reading up on the roof. Clap along if...
All right, wonderful. Thank you for your participation. We see there's a tie. Organize and label book collections and set up school libraries and classroom reading corners. Excellent. Thank you so much for participating. It actually gives us some insight of what your thoughts are in supporting literacy.
So now we're going to talk a little bit about why we're here. New Jersey literacy. And this is a graph of the literacy data for New Jersey third graders. And this runs from 2017 to 2023. And certainly, as you know, because of COVID, a lot of data could not be captured. As you can see, it's not really great. We have students that are meeting expectations that are at 40, 45%, and then 50%, and this is from 2017 to 2018, and it dropped slightly in 2019. But then, of course, as we know, the pandemic really impacted our students' ability to access education between virtual learning challenges, lack of in-person instruction, limited engagement, and of course, that unequal access to resources and Wi-Fi and technology. We had a widespread learning loss, and that significantly impacted reading and literacy in those early year students, especially for students in our underserved communities. So the numbers are actually getting lower, and we're at the point where we have to make a change. Why are we looking at third grade data? Well, third grade literacy is considered a key predictor of what the future academic success will be for students. It is that stage where students transition from that learning to read to reading to learn. And so the state of New Jersey has made plans to make changes. Governor Murphy has put in plans starting September of 2024 that will put in catch-up programs to help recover that lost learning time and focus heavily on the literacy gaps. Now, with these new revisions, the New Jersey Student Learning Standards for English Language Arts will be updated with new focus on early identification of struggling students and providing the necessary supports to ensure that they do not continue to fall behind. Policies are being reviewed to allocate more resources to literacy development and to ensure that teachers have the training and the tools necessary to tackle these post-pandemic literacy challenges. And this is being done through an online resource center designed to help districts identify better evidence-based strategies, such as the tried and true phonics instruction that many students' parents received when they were young. So there's two new bills that are advancing. The first one will focus on strengthening the foundational literacy instruction by establishing a working group on student literacy. And this will be a collaboration of members that are appointed by the Commission of Education and other stakeholders throughout the state, and focus on implementation of evidence-based literacy strategies, screening methods, it's early screening, instruction for students, and then finding a way to increase professional development for our educators. And based upon this, they will then develop and publish guidance for school districts to begin using from 2025 to 2026 and increase all of the learning standards throughout the state. The second bill will establish an Office of Learning Equity and Academic Recovery to promote student literacy and advance the learning equity through academic recovery practices. Another great state resource is the Reading Acceleration Professional Integrated Development Program. So this is located in every county where they will target literacy through kindergarten to third grade and partner with organizations for professional development. And now I'm going to pass it on to Jamie.
Thanks very much, Kim. As we are talking about New Jersey standards and changes to New Jersey standards related to literacy, we thought it would be helpful to provide a little bit of an overview as well of the component skills of reading that we expect to see kids develop throughout and beyond their elementary school years. And so Kim has already started to talk about this transition from learning to read to reading to learn, and the importance of third grade for that transitional time. And what I want to do now is dig down a little bit more deeply into these component skills that come up in the bills that Kim was just talking about and the evidence-based curriculum we hope to see in schools. And so we know that the overall goal of reading instruction and practice is for children to become good comprehenders of texts. Like you see in the blue box, well, I can't ever say blue box, it's a real tongue twister for me. The blue box on this slide, the end product of reading practice is not just to be able to read the words on the page, but to really engage with and make sense of any fictional or informational text. In the same way that we might if we were talking about a book in a book club, or focusing on why a character did a particular thing, or what we thought might happen next. So we know that successful comprehenders can summarize a big idea shared in a story and then draw a conclusion and make inferences, can connect the text to other stories and their own lives. So as you can see, comprehending a story requires a lot of other skills to be in place, and it's a process that happens over time. We often think of successful comprehension as something that happens when children move into that reading to learn phase, but we know that there's a lot of building blocks that need to be in place even before then so that children can be successful. Word recognition skills, the early literacy skills that are required to hear the sounds and words, phonological awareness, and to identify and decode the words on the page are hugely important for reading success, and they're a focal point of pre-K through second grade instruction in schools. So when Kim talked a few moments ago about phonics instruction and about new recovery acts, it was about this increased focus and renewed focus on building kids' word recognition skills in a really systematic way in the early grades. There is also a great deal that families can do to support children in building word recognition skills at home, mainly lots of exposure and lots of practice. But this bucket is one that we hope is comprehensively addressed via direct instruction in schools. And that's something that schools are giving a lot of practice around in those K through 2 years. But the language comprehension bucket is one where family and community support is hugely important, because there simply is just not enough time during the school day to expose children to all of the background knowledge and vocabulary words that they need to acquire over time to make sense of the words that they read. Children can only comprehend it in a written text, what would already make sense to them if we were speaking about it. So a word or an idea that a child is not familiar with already will be difficult for them to make sense of, even if they can accurately decode the words on the page. It could be possible for them to fluently read a passage and then still scratch their head about its meaning if they hadn't had conversations around the dinner table or on the bus and in the car about the meaning of that word. And so we often say that building these language comprehension skills in the early years, when your child is 0 through 5, has a sleeper effect on a child's later reading skills. And so, what we mean there is that when children are young and preoccupied with the business of learning to sound out words, the pink bucket, language comprehension skills may not be the best predictor of their reading abilities because so much of reading is about making sense of individual words one by one. But when children move into third grade and beyond, and they can read fluently, then these comprehension abilities become so important for reading success. And so, what that means is the conversations that folks have with young children now and the vocabulary words that children learn at a young age are real money in the bank for later development in the area of reading. And so, as we go on, we will talk you through some strategies that you can use at home and out in the community to build these skills. And now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Faith to talk about this a little bit more.
Thank you, Jamie. So why does literacy matter and how is it tied to family engagement? Reading is foundational. Everything we do requires literacy, specifically literacy skills. Literacy gives us access to education. Building confidence, positive reinforcement, and encouragement from family members build children's confidence in their literacy abilities. Families can help children overcome struggles and celebrate their accomplishments. Strengthens family bonds. Doing literacy activities together strengthens family bonds and provides quality time for interaction. Reading and learning together creates shared experiences and memories. Increases short-term and long-term academic performance and student success. Develop critical thinking skills, expands worldviews, opens minds to possibilities, exposes a child to new ideas, and sparks creativity and imagination. Long-term health outcomes, less likely to turn to crime. Identity and overall well-being. Families can play a crucial role in identifying and addressing literacy challenges. By recognizing signs of reading difficulties and seeking support, families help children overcome obstacles and achieve literacy goals. When parents read, write, and engage in discussions about books and information, they set an example for their children. Active parental involvement can inspire a lot of reading and learning. Be sure to encourage reading habits and family engagement in reading, such as reading together, discussing stories, and visiting libraries. It encourages children to develop reading habits and improve their literacy skills. So here are different ways students can increase literacy. Students, this is for you. Jacqueline Kennedy once said, "There are many little ways to enlarge your child's world. Love of books is the best of all." There are so many ways throughout the day that you can practice reading skills, but many of them might be things that you do already without even realizing it. Reading anything and everything, it all counts. Simply reading anything, anywhere helps you strengthen your reading muscles and pay attention to all the written information around you. Each thing you read counts, whether it's street signs, instructions on your shampoo, or the directions for making microwave popcorn. Being able to read this information lets you access the world around you and helps you know if there are reading skills you may want to practice more. So, for example, I'm an Amazon. So today and tomorrow is Amazon Prime Day. And whenever I order an Amazon order, it usually comes with a manual, and I'm a manual person. So I would read the manual. So read anything and everything. Look for reading materials focused on topics that interest you. Feel free to read about topics that are interesting to you, especially if reading doesn't typically feel fun for you. Think about, what do you like? What are your hobbies? I can guarantee you there's a book or magazine that you like. Reading graphic novels, online blogs, and comic books are all ways to practice your reading skills. Read it again. Repetition strengthens and reinforces your skills. Ask for help with decoding and comprehension. Don't be afraid to ask for help. If a passage is hard to decode, start off by having someone read it with you. Listen to it being read via audiobook while you follow along. Talking with your friends or classmates about a book, or even beginning just by listening to what other people have to say about it, can help you develop your own ideas further. Utilize the local and online public library. Utilize local and online resources, including ones available through your local library system and online. They will have ebooks available and may also offer classes or other supports. So no matter what, keep on reading and keep expanding your mind.
So I'm going to talk a bit now about ways that families can support literacy. And I think so much of what we say on this slide is consistent with what panelists on this call have talked about already in their own homes, either verbally or in the chat box, and likely things that you are doing already at home as well. And so we really want to encourage you to recognize that there are many strategies you might be using as part of your daily life without even thinking about them as explicit strategies to support literacy development, but they are already right on the mark. And so doing what is comfortable to you, what feels right for your child, and then expanding a little bit from there is a great way to come up with a sustainable literacy practice at home. We want you to do what feels right for you, not necessarily what works for a different family. And so one of the first things that you can do is to create a literacy rich home environment. And what that really means is to have lots of printed materials available to your child and in your child's line of sight so that they know that print matters, that reading is an important part of getting information and hearing good stories. And so you just heard Faith say that when she gets a manual in the mail, she sits and reads it right away. Tiffany had mentioned in the chat that they label toys in their house. So anytime that you have the opportunity to put print on your refrigerator, to label toys or clothing, to have a to-do list that you're working on out and available so your child knows that you're thinking about the form that you need to fill out for school or a grocery item that they requested, what you're showing them is that writing and reading are part of your daily life. And then, of course, we want to show kiddos that there are books in the home that we are reading and that we are reading with them. Again, in the ways that work for you, at the times of day that work for you, and in a style that works for your child. Tara had mentioned earlier that she and her son often read Pete the Cat while also watching Pete the Cat and somebody else read that on YouTube. So all of these are strategies that you can use to really embed literacy materials in your home environment and make reading together a fun and active part of your day. I also wanted to highlight our last bullet point here, where we talk about setting goals, using incentives, and celebrating progress, because we do know that for each family, this routine is going to look a little bit different, and that some kids may require more extrinsic motivators or rewards than others to engage in reading in certain ways. And so Faith had mentioned that when she was a child, that her family always read before they would watch a movie or watch a television program. So that reading time came before screen time. And we can think about a lot of ways to incentivize reading by letting kids know that we're going to read a preferred book or do another activity afterwards, or that we're going to pair reading with a treat that really works for them. So you can see on the next slide that we have prepared, I actually have a few examples of what reading looks like around my home. And I was mentioning to folks as we look through this presentation that I might soon have to retire this slide because my now 10-year-old is pictured in a bathtub here. And I think he is at the age where he might start to protest that being a public image. But I really love this picture because it shows how we have paired reading time with incentives that make my son feel like reading is a luxury, right? So sitting in a bubble bath with chocolates and a fancy drink prepared for you and getting quiet time away from a little sister means that he's seeing reading much the way we see reading. Lanisha before called it a guilty pleasure to read a romance novel. And what a great thing for a kid to see reading as entertainment, escapism, a guilty pleasure, right? That's what we want for our kids, to know that reading is a habit that they want to build and they see as really exciting. And one of the ways we can do this is just by having printed materials available in the house at the time that works for kiddos. And so you can see both of my guys are reading at the breakfast table And that is likely because my son used to see my husband and I read when we could grab a minute to read over breakfast. It's something he started to do as well. And now my foster daughter thinks he is very cool, even if she doesn't think we're so cool. And so she wants to do exactly what he is doing. And that means that reading time becomes really built into our household experience, even when we're doing it with, yogurt all over our face and our hair a mess or in the tub. It's a big part of our day. So we had also said before, I'll go to the next slide again here, that we wanted to encourage kids to read what was exciting for them. And when we talk about this idea of guilty pleasures, what we're really saying is we want to read in our interest area, even if it is not the most academically minded thing at this time. So Faith had mentioned before that we can read magazines, comic books, graphic novels, and we know that parents and teachers are often a little bit worried that these forms of print might be less sophisticated or less academically focused than other materials they can recommend for children. But we thought it was important to let you know that a lot of times these print resources actually include more new and difficult vocabulary words than other books that children are reading, and that they can provide really rich background knowledge about topics that will come up in school and in daily life. Children can be especially highly motivated to read these types of materials if they get to pick out something special on their own, whether that's something that they get from the library or something that comes in the mail just for them. So, for example, my son loves to get a Nintendo Force magazine every month. He's a big gamer. And so, reading through this Nintendo Force magazine, which has very dense articles in it, they're much more sophisticated than a lot of the chapter books he's reading, is really engaging for him because he's curious about these games and curious about what these writers say. And if his guilty pleasure is reading that magazine for 45 minutes instead of playing a video game for 45 minutes, then that's really wonderful because, as we said earlier, reading volume matters. The amount of time you spend reading has additive benefits for reading success over time. So, picking topics in your child's interest area is really a win for everybody. And I know as we go on, folks will talk about some resources through libraries and out in the community that are available to you. And I really want to encourage you to explore these resources, including free resources that might be in your child's interest area. When I was talking about Nintendo Force the other day, a friend had told me that there's a Lego magazine that her son gets in the mail on a monthly basis that comes to them for free. And there are a lot of organizations that will provide free printed materials for your child about topics that might be really exciting for them. So we'll encourage you to think more about that. And I'm going to pass the baton now so we can talk a little bit more about how educators can support literacy development as well.
So, before I talk about how educators can support literacy, I want to share this quote that we have on the screen where it reads, "Let us remember, one book, one pen, one child, and one teacher can change the world." And so let me share with you a little story about how one of my teachers changed my world. When I was in elementary school, it was a teacher who encouraged my love of reading. She realized that I love to read, and back then we had these things called SRAs, and we would read them and, read the story and do the little questions afterwards. Well, I kept reading and reading and reading and kept bypassing my grade level. It got so bad that she had to go to the high school and get some more because that is how much I read. So it is very important, the role that teachers play in the lives of our children. And so, with that being said, teachers, practice makes perfect. Practice makes progress. So as our kids practice reading, they're getting better and they're increasing the volume of things that they read, and they're increasing the time that they read. So it's important to meet your students where they are. So if your student likes to read the highlight book or magazine, or if your kid likes to read romance novels like me, it's okay. Because let me tell you something, romance was my gateway into everything. So there's really no genre of book that I will not read as long as the subject matter interests me. So, using those gateways to begin to introduce our students to reading and to literacy are important. Focus on fluency. So make sure that you're focusing on the things that will increase their love of reading. Also, encourage interactive reading amongst your students. Maybe break them into groups and they can read aloud to each other and then ask each other questions about what they read. Partner with families to extend reading and literacy beyond the classroom. So encourage your parents to maybe, pick a book for the week or a book for the month, and then they can share that in school with their friends in school, and then share that at home with their families. Reading is really something that can be done together as well as individually. And so it's important that we encourage all levels of reading, all ways of reading, all places of reading. And educators, you play a role in supporting literacy, both inside and outside of the classroom. Now let's talk about communities. Their communities support literacy in so many different ways. We have programs that are in the community, and community organizations can be sharing this information with families that they serve. You can direct your families that come into your different programs, your different buildings, to literacy programs that are in libraries, at literacy centers, and at tutoring programs. We can be encouraging local businesses and organizations to sponsor literacy events and book drives and reading challenges. For example, I know that there are barbershops and beauty shops that start book nooks within their businesses so that when parents bring in their kids, they have some place to go and that they're entertained. So that is a great way to support literacy within our businesses. We can also promote literacy through cultural and social events. As individuals, we can volunteer to be literacy mentors or work with organizations like Literacy Volunteers of America and help others learn how to read. We can also advocate actively and support legislation that funds literacy in our schools as well as adult learning. But not only literacy in our schools, literacy in our communities. So I will leave with a quote. Whatever the cost of our libraries, the price is cheap compared to that of an ignorant nation. And that is so true. Now let's talk about some places we can go, some resources that inspire and support literacy. Booksmart, the New Jersey State Library. So we all know that there are libraries in our communities. Take your kids to get library cards. I know I take my son to the library probably once or twice a month, and he just runs around in the kids' area of the library, but he's also pulling books off the shelf and telling me, Mommy, I like this, I want this. And we check books out. And then I get him into the practice of reading at home, and we bring the books back and we start it all over again. There are free little neighborhood libraries. So, they're, as the picture on the screen shows, they look like bird houses, but they have books in them. And that's a great place to go and exchange books and take books. College campuses such as Montclair State University and William Patterson University host literacy-related events and provide research resources. So those are great places to go. Again, take your kids. I like to go to the library and do work. So that's one of my outside offices. I go get a room in the library. I end up reading something aside from work sometimes, but I love to go there. It's so quiet. And then sometimes the library has these silent book reading events. So you can go and hang out at the library and do so many different things because they have so many different activities. And last but not least, Barnes and Noble. So I know that there's a Barnes and Noble in almost every community, not far from your homes. You can go there for our children. They usually have a book area and a children's section, and they offer monthly events for our children. So please take advantage of those events because they're usually free. The New Jersey State Library, I've talked about the library endlessly. I love the library. So November 1st is National Literacy Day. And on that day, we're encouraging parents, community-based organizations, and educators to take your students or your child to the library. Get them acclimated to the library. Get them acquainted with where the library is and what it offers. Get them a library card. There's programs that can be accessed at the library, such as the Library Equal Access Program. Libraries have programs such as Read, Think, Write, and Reading Rocket. Reading is fundamental, and so we need to encourage reading. SPAN also has a program called START, and that program also offers webinars such as this all around promoting literacy within our homes and within our schools. And now I will turn it over to Jeanette.
Thank you, Lanisha. Oh my goodness, so many golden nuggets. I loved our topic today. We're so excited to be able to bring you another amazing webinar, Family Engagement with the NJPTA. We're excited to co-present with the NJPTA, and the webinar will take place November 12th at 11 a.m. So make sure you mark your calendars. We're also thrilled that we're going to have Sharon Roseborough, the NJPTA president, and C. Andre Daniels, NJPTA Family Engagement Committee chairman, who they're going to be sharing their knowledge and experience with us. So please be sure to scan the QR code, or we'll put the registration link in the chat. And if you enjoy this webinar today, I can promise you, you'll enjoy the webinar next month. Get the word out, share it with your friends, your families, your constituents, because these webinars are invaluable. We here at the Hub thank you for participating in our webinar today. We ask that you take a few brief moments to scan the QR code and to fill out our evaluation. Once the evaluation is filled out, we will then provide you the PowerPoint and all the resources that we shared throughout the webinar today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you the next time.